Welcome everybody to our webinar today on the Environmental Systems Division competition and the Student Design competition. I'm Brandy Smith, ASME staff and our EFEST program manager, and joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Nathan Taylor. I'm a volunteer chair of the Student Programming Committee, and welcome to our third and final competition webinar. Go to the next slide. During today's webinar, first of all, the point of these webinars is just to give you a chance to see and learn about our competitions from our great volunteers, and to get to ask all the questions that you may have directly from the competition organizers. Today we're going to have a short presentation about the Environmental Systems Division competition. It's a brand new competition this year. And then we're also going to present about the student design competition. Each will present for about 5 minutes, and then the rest of the time we'll have for Q&A. Just before we get started, a couple reminders. One of our next events is the Student Early Career Development Town Hall. That'll be an event where you can learn about all the work that's going on, all the ASME programs that are happening for students and early career engineers that are coming out of our area within ASME. So that'll be on February 4th. And then all of our competitions will kind of conclude with at the EFEST Digital, which will be like a career development and general engineering development conference happening on April 24th. And so please visit our websites and register for those events when that becomes available. Next. And of course, stay connected to everything we're doing. Here are all the Instagrams and Twitter. Here's the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook for all of the work that's happening, or I guess competitions that are happening within ASME for student early career engineers. So I will paste all these links into the chat in a few moments, but please check them out and stay up to date with what's going on. So during the presentations, please use the Q&A tool. And then afterwards, we will post this presentation. It's being recorded. We'll post it to the EFEST YouTube pages. And if there's any questions you think of later, or if you didn't get them answered today, please go to the competition websites on the EFEST page. And there's contact information available there, or you can just email efest@asme.org and your questions will be directed to the correct people. And so now I'd like to hand it off to Arnie to talk about the ESD competition.
Hi, I'm Arnie Feldman. I hope you can hear me. I'm getting an indication my mic may be off. I'm the former chair of the Environmental Systems Division, better known as ESD, and I'm current chair of the Student and Early Career Environmental Competition. ESD promotes the art, science, and practice of environmental engineering. Because of the various activities of the environmental within ASME, we coordinate throughout ASME, on their environmental activities. We act as a resource and do other things. The division has about 5,000 members currently. Some of the programs include participation in 2 conferences, an educational support program, which is a grant program for doing projects, a newsletter, this environmental competition, and providing technical support throughout ASME. The environmental competition is split into 2 categories, the K through 12 group and the one we are discussing today for college level and early career. For more information on this competition, let me introduce the chair of the College and Early Career Subcommittee, Radhika Munder. Radhika?
Hello. Yeah. So I'm Radhika and I'm an environmental engineer by profession. I am working in a construction giant in India. So this environmental system divisions, as Arnold has explained, it's a broad spectrum that unites engineers from all the spheres and fields who are working towards environment. So now this competition is mainly for college students, the graduate students, and the early career engineers. Now this is an effort from the EST division to involve all of them into one. So we encourage these students and the early career engineers who are involved in the technical management as well as the policy making issues for the environment from across the globe to participate. Now, this competition is divided into three major groups. As I mentioned, one would be for college level, one would be for postgraduates, and other would be for the early career engineers. Now, each group has a specific focus area. Now, the competition will have 3 rounds, and you can participate either individually or as a team of two. So the first round would involve an abstract submission of 200 to 300 words, and this must be the original work of the team. The last date of the abstract submission is January 15th, 2021. The shortlisted participants from the round one would be sent to round two, where they'll submit a video presentation of 7 to 10 minutes, and that will be elaborating their abstract topics. And the top five entries from the second round will ladder up to the finale, which will be held on 24th of April 2021. And this is going to be a virtual finale in which they will present a presentation of the same thing up to in front of experts and judges. So the top three winners from each group will receive a certificate of participation and cash prizes of $250, $150, and $100 each. Now, this is a first of its kind initiative by ESD, so we are open for a very limited number of entries for each of these groups. So if you want to know more details about it, you can check out our competition rules, and you can also go to the abstract link on our ASME EFES page. We'll also post the links in the webinar chat. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me here and the Arnie, and we'll be there to answer this at the end of the session. I hope I was able to explain details about this competition, and for any details or any queries, you can check out our links, as well as you can drop your queries over here. So now, and thank you everyone. Now I would pass on the mic to Kevin, who will explain you about the student design competition. Kevin?
Thank you very much. My name is Kevin Schmaltz, and I teach at Western Kentucky University. I've been involved with the student design competition for more than 20 years, first as a faculty advisor to teams competing, and more recently as a volunteer member of the SDC committee on ASME. The environmental competition that you just heard about is somewhat new, whereas the SDC student design competition is a fairly mature event that ASME has held for quite a few years. The 2021 competition, the intent behind it is for student teams to build a remotely controlled device that will enable them to manually load and unload some weights and to move those weights around a surface. And so the scoring for the competition is to, within a limited fixed amount of time, to move as many weights as far a distance as possible to score points this way. That's not the real challenge or intent behind the competition. However, this year's competition is much more focused on thinking about the energy that's involved in doing this. The devices will only be powered by a pre-charged AAA battery, and during the competition, teams will have the ability to add the collection of solar energy and wind energy to recharge. And so the teams need to figure out some sort of balance between being able to move weights distances and using up energy and reducing the amounts of energy that are used to do that, or to maximize how much energy that they can collect from these different sources. Can you switch to the next slide, please? So lots of these rules here are the same as they've been for a long amount of time. You know, students need to be members of ASME, undergraduate students, but not necessarily just mechanical engineering students. Students can have as many people on a team as they want, and schools can field any number of teams with one restriction that students may only participate on one single team. Because we don't have the ability to hold this competition face to face like we would want to and like we have done in past years, we are trying to come up with a way of having a virtual competition. So if you can switch to the next slide, let me try to explain what we're going to do. So all teams are going to build their devices at their own schools, and they normally would be testing them on playing surfaces that were probably comparable to what they would see at the eFest competitions. This year, we need all schools who want to compete to build a correct, accurate playing surface. And so this picture that you see to the left is the diagram. The details on dimensions and things are provided in the rules. By the end of March and early April, teams will have completed their devices, and their teams are going to need to submit a video to a shared drive that our committee will set up that will be showing compliance with the rules. And so the video will have will be showing that the device is of the right size and has certain attributes. We have details of that are going to be posted in the near future as to what is in that video. And then by the 2nd of April, teams will have to submit a video of their device running the course for the allotted amount of time. This is essentially the first run of the competition. All of the judges on our committee will then review the various videos, and we will score all of the entrants. And then between the 2nd of April, when we get these videos, and by about the 8th of April, we will have scored all of them, and we will then announce the top 16 teams. We will tell the top 16 scoring teams that they have then moved on to what we're calling an elimination round. And the elimination round is going to take place on April 9th and then continue on April 10th. And what is going to happen is that the top 16 teams will be told and will have one day on April 9th to record a second performance video following the rules that are slightly different than the preliminary performance video, and submit that. We will then, the judges will evaluate those those 16 teams that are submitting the videos. And on the morning of April 10th, we will be telling the 8 winning teams that they have moved on then to the quarterfinals. And on Saturday morning, April 10th, we will then announce that those 8 teams now need to make another video and run their device again, and they will have about an hour to get that video recorded and submitted. We will then evaluate those 8 videos, pick the 4 winners of that, and then repeat the process. Those 4 teams that are now in the semifinals will run yet again one last time on Saturday, April 10th. And then from there, we will have the top 4 teams, and we will be able to then have those top 4 teams provide us with one more final video. So there's the 2 phases to this competition that we're trying to make as much like the previously done SDCs at eFests. Is this preliminary videos in early April, and then the elimination competition for the top 16 teams that will be taking place around the weekend of April 10th. Could you go to the next slide, please? All right. So the bottom couple of bullets there, right? So that this is what we're wanting to do is teams will be recording their performance. And what we're going to be able to do this way is to announce at the Digital eFest on April 24th, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place winners for this competition. We are doing these different stages of videos, and we're hoping that we will be able, we originally had wanted to try to do something like this at the same time as the eFest, but we didn't want that to end up causing us problems. And so that's why we have moved the competition a couple of weeks forward, which is going to give us a little extra time to make sure that we can make this competition happen in a way that is satisfactory to everyone. So this looks like this is an SDC friendly crowd, and I'm glad to hear that. Can I make one last strong suggestion for you, which is please use our Q&A. We have been fielding questions and we've been trying to keep up with those things. The Q&A will go through about the end of February. And in fact, if we keep getting questions because of this sort of different way that we're doing the competition this year, we might continue to field questions all the way up until sometime in March. But so please, if there are uncertainty about things, post questions so that we can not only answer you, but also provide everyone who's considering the competition some feedback on how we're planning to run this. So thank you very much. And Nathan, turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. So thanks to our speakers. And now if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A tool in the Zoom. We already have about 6 questions, and so I'll go through some of those and I'll direct them to the correct people. First, we had some general ones. The first is, are all points discussed today valid for the eFest Asia Pacific also? And so I want to address that one. This year, or I guess say next year, because of COVID, there will not be any in-person eFests. And so that means that we won't have any regional specific eFests, at least not as the overall. So there may be EFXs and things like that, but all events at ASME will be digital for 2021. And so everything we've explained in all competitions are open to everyone in the world, and participation will all be virtual. And so your region does not matter. Yeah. And then we had another question about registration. Brandy, do you want to explain the registration plan for eFest?
Sure. So for all the competitions, we're going to require that whether you're a team or you're an individual, that you register either your vehicle or your robot or your team. And then everybody will also need to register as an individual. So pretty similar to what we've done in past in-person eFests. Registration for competitions and individual registration will go live after the first of the year.
And will that be on the eFest digital website, or where can they find that information?
All that information will be on the eFest digital website. Great,
thank you. And then for the I think that answers our question about registration for the environmental competition, but there's a question also about the topics. Arnie, since you're unmuted, do you want to, when will your topics be disclosed?
The topics are on the rules that are already posted on the eFest, that should be already posted on the eFest website. If you don't want to go there, you can go on to LinkedIn or Facebook and look for the environmental competition. The rules are all posted there as well.
Right. The topics are posted, they're in the rules, and all the rules for all of our competitions are posted on the eFest website under competitions. So
by the
please
way,
check those out. Go ahead, Arnie.
We are accepting questions now, any kind of question you have now in writing.
Okay. And then there was a general question about, is there a formal registration? Is there a formal report? And so each competition is a little different for both of these. And so if you just check out the rules, the student design competition has video submissions. The environmental competition has abstract and video submissions. And so it's a little different depending on what competition you're talking about. But that's one of the questions we have.
Could I make a quick statement? The student design competition has historically not had any kind of reports. And we are this year including an optional design presentation or report that will be part of the things to do. And so it's not a required activity, but if teams are doing these kinds of things at their schools, then we wanted to provide them with an opportunity to get feedback from the ASME judges on how they have built their devices.
And
Thanks.
very quickly,
Do you have anything to add?
for the environmental, there is no report. It's the abstract you submit for the competition, followed by the video, which would be, those who are selected to submit a video will be told so. And then the final will be a oral live. You'll give a short presentation followed by questions from the judges.
Great, thank you. And then there's a question about the environmental competition. How many members are allowed? Do you have a cap on members?
I mean, how many teams are allowed? Or
yeah, how many people can compete in your competition? Do you have a cap?
I'm going to ask Radhika. Do you remember, Radhika, the number? I think it was 75 from each one of the three groups.
Yeah. So we, yes, Annie, you're correct. 75. That's the maximum entries we are going to take.
In other words, 225 total. And
then there's a question about, I'm mostly addressing the environmental competition right now, and then I'll go to student design competition. But I've got one about how is the environmental competition different from the old guard? Do you want to try to answer that, Arnie? Or
no,
Radhika?
I'll pass. I'm not sure what the old guard competition is. This is one written by the Environmental Systems Division, by its members, and the judges are predominantly from either ESD or those that ESD members have invited to be judges.
Yeah, so I'll try to answer that one, and then Brandy can add on if she has anything that I missed. And so the environmental competition is for one thing, it's structured different. So they have an abstract and they have presentations afterwards, and there's different acceptance throughout, and it's all focused on environmental topics. And so for the old guard, there is not a specific topic that you have to present on. You can present on a technical topic of your choice. And the goal is mostly to present well. And so to practice your presentation and get judged primarily on your way, on how you present technical topics and not about a specific topic. Brandy, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Let's see. Old guard does not have 3 rounds like the Environmental Systems Division competition does. As Nathan mentioned, it's strictly an oral competition, and it is on a technical topic of your choice.
Right,
So
and the old guard is
pretty
restricted
different.
only to students, and the environmental competition is students and early career engineers.
Correct.
Thanks. Real quick, somebody asked if IM3D is taking place. Yes, it is. We already had a webinar about that. So unfortunately, we can't talk about that today, but go to the website, check it out. The rules are posted, and you can post questions if you have any. So now a couple questions about student design competition. Is there any limit to the number of participants per team?
No, there's not.
Is there any limit to the number of teams right now?
Per university, no. Again, the one restriction is that students can't participate on multiple teams. So but otherwise, if a university wants to field multiple teams, because schools will be building their own game surface at their institutions, if a university has more than one team, it is certainly reasonable for you to use the same playing surface, perhaps some of the other aspects of it, but the devices would be unique to, and I should say the members of each team should be unique to each team.
Right, and somebody asked for some more elaboration about the video submission. Can you cover that again quickly, Kevin?
Imagine that you have been asked by April 2nd to submit a video, and the competition requires you to run your device around the playing surface for 5 minutes. And so we will give you instructions, in March, closer to the final timing as to exactly what we're expecting. But we would envision that a member of your team would, take a video with your phone of your device traveling around for these 5 minutes and making sure that we can see where your device is gone and making sure that we can verify the amount of weights that your device has moved around. And so you would have recorded that video, and then we are going to set up a shared Google Drive is what we're expecting to use, and you will submit that video. So you will have, several days to create this video and to submit it, and you can do it, run your device as many times as you want and shoot as many videos, and then submit the best video by a deadline on April 2nd. We will then be looking at all of the submitted videos and coming up with all of the scores, and from there picking the top 16 for the elimination round. You'll do the exact same thing if you are one of the top 16 teams. The timing is 15 minutes for each round. You will have less time to make this video because we will be telling the top 16 teams that they can now make their next video, and they'll have less time to do that. And then there will be even less time to shoot the next videos on that Saturday that we're running the quarterfinals and the semifinals of the competition. So there is going to be more information coming. We will probably be linking the Q&A and some of our instructions to the teams as we get into March and closer to the timing when this is going to happen.
Great, thank you. And a related question is, can the robot be changed between March 26th and April 2nd?
Absolutely. Although I'm sure that you all are planning to build perfect robots that work immaculately the first time. But if in fact you need to change it, that is absolutely an opportunity that's available for you. Everyone is fighting against the same deadline for submitting a final robot at for the first round, and then everyone will have some of these same constraints of getting the subsequent round videos made. But there's no impounding or that we've done in the past of devices. You can do as much or as little as you need to improve the performance of your device.
Well, will teams, Kevin, will teams be able to review other teams' videos?
We're planning to make videos available. I think that would be after the fact, but we need to figure out how we can most readily accept all of the videos that come in so that we can manage them, so that we can judge them. Another thing that we're wanting to be able to do, and one of the reasons why we're moving this competition forward a couple of weeks, is we want to give ASME some time to take some of these videos and to create a compiled video that would be available and shown at the eFest. So, but our intentions would be that eventually, ultimately, that the performance of other teams will be made available.
And then the related video question is, how will malpractice be monitored since the videos won't be live and video editing may be possible?
We'll do the best that we can. Some of the editing, we've discussed some things, and we have some practices that we're planning on doing to try to catch that. The other thing is that we will be having all teams providing a statement of their ethical behavior in this competition. So we are going to be demanding that all participants on all of the teams make a statement that they have not in any way tried to cheat in the competition. It's not as easy to do by a video as it would be if we were standing and watching your devices at the eFest actual face-to-face, but we're going to do the best we can.
And related to that is, how will the weights and energy input be verified?
We have ways. We're planning through the videos, right? Teams will have to put weights, to have a scale by the competition and put the weights on there. And, it's same sort of question about professionalism and honesty and ethical behavior go into that. We have specified the sources of the sun and the wind, meaning the halogen light that you can use and the fan that you can use for the solar and wind energy. And the preliminary compliance video that your teams must submit are going to be, that's where we will be asking you to show us what you're using and to show that your devices can function as they are supposed to function.
Do teams have to use both power sources, or can they only use one?
They are allowed to use, they must use at least one. They have to demonstrate with that compliance video the ability to collect energy from at least one of the two sources. They do not have to use both.
And for the weights, can they put the weights manually in the upload area?
The loading of weights and the removal of weights are all going to be done manually by a team member.
Great, thank you. And let's see. So I think you said this before, but let's hit it again. Is the report submission, is that going to be scored, and will that affect the top 16?
Yes, it will be scored, and no, it doesn't affect the 16. The teams that move on to the, for the elimination rounds is purely done via performance. We are doing this optional report just as a to give teams the ability to present the work that we assume that they're very proud of, and to give you some external feedback of how other people besides just your professors are considering the design process that you will go through.
Great, thanks. And that made me think about a similar question for the environmental competition. Are you going to be providing any feedback to the competitors?
We haven't talked about that, but I think we will after the competition. So, and it'll go predominantly to the second and third round. The second is the video round, and the third is the oral round.
Thank you. And then I have let's see. I have a lot of questions for student design competition. I'm sorry, environmental competition.
That's fine.
So somebody asked, will there be an on-site judge at our university? The answer is no. You have to record videos and submit them, and that goes for both competitions. There will not be any on-site judging. Okay, for student design, will you be providing information on how to set up the fields and construct the weights and what types of playing surfaces?
Look at the rules, look at the Q&A. We try to specify that. If after reviewing that you are unclear, post a Q&A so that we can respond to everyone with a clarification.
Yeah, and somebody asked about the dimensions for the weights. I think that's the
same thing. Answer. Look at the Q&A, look at the rules.
Yeah. And then another question about about changing robots. It says between the can you change the robot between the
early rounds and
yeah.
or between the very beginning process? Yes, throughout. We do not in any way. There's no aspect of this competition where your design is locked in, other than that you have to get a video submitted on time. So if you're changing things, absolutely 100% you can change everything. Just be careful, because sometimes change can be bad at the very end.
Very good, thank you. And then there's two. Okay, well, I think they're similar, but one is if you can't get the same model of fan, and I think that's the same answer. Like, read the rules, and then if you're having an issue, post it on the Q&A, and right.
Yes, and that question about if you are unable to get the exact model of the halogen lamp, and if you are, and similarly the fan, and that might actually, that's either in the last Q&A that you all can see, or it might be in the Q&A that is about to be posted coming up in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and that's the student design competition Q&A on their website,
Yes.
just to be clear, between our Q&A tools. And then we had a question about the report. I think we've already answered that one. And right now, that's the last question that I have. There was two that I don't see anymore, but they're in here somewhere. Is that the I'm going to answer them. One was about the elevator pitch, and so the elevator pitch competition is a 90-second presentation about a specific topic or about a topic that we are going to provide, and so that's more about presenting in a concise way, concise and clear way, and the goal is to get the judges to want to bring you back and ask you more about your topic. So with this year, we have 3 different presentation competitions, but they're all a little different. They'll give you practice in different ways of presenting and based on your interests. And so I know it's a little confusing that we have 3, but they're all different and they'll all be very fun to participate in. Are there any other comments? Are there any other questions?
Just
I
to
got a question.
clarify.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Nathan. Yep, I have a question, not just a clarification for Arnie and Radhika on the environmental systems competition. That's more on the technical side, right? And focused specifically on an environmental engineering topic or set of topics, correct?
That's correct. The topics are in the rules specifically to your level, whether you're an undergraduate, a postgrad, or an early career. And within those, the topics are very broad so that you can select whatever you want to send in for the competition. We try to open it up as much as possible.
That's
Yeah,
great.
the
So we
elevator
really-
pitch
Yeah, and
topic
it
will be
is-
posted soon. Go ahead, Radhika.
Yeah, and it is not just related to like engineering technical part. We have also included management as well as policy making issues as well.
Great. So we really encourage everybody to take a look at those rules.
Yeah.
Great. Do we have any more questions that people would like to post? Otherwise, we'll wrap up. We'll give you another minute or two to add some more. And there we have some. One is about thin batteries hidden inside the robot. I think we've already answered that. We aren't going to be inspecting the robots. Everyone should be ethical, and the SDC team will do their best to look for anything that's unethical.
That's correct. We are planning. So yes, we are expecting the participants to behaving ethically. We are planning to require you to make some sort of statement affirming that you have done that. So if a team is actively trying to cheat on this, that we're hopeful that it's not going to be the case.
And there's a question about the power. Can they can you draw power directly from your power sources, or do you have to power the battery and then draw it from the battery?
Q&A.
Great. And then a general question about, can multiple universities in a region come together to use the same equipment for student design competition? I'd like to, ASME will not be having live events, and we can't encourage you to gather together in live events. I mean, if you want to do that, you have to make sure you're in compliance with your local regulations, and we don't want to have anyone getting sick because of having to share equipment. So please be mindful of that.
Yeah, could I make a statement which for our
Please.
videos, we're going to be encouraging and hoping that we see proper distancing. We made the rules this year such that we're expecting, we don't need people to all be gathered around to do certain tasks, and that people can be distant. So we're trying to encourage the behavior that's appropriate for where we are in March and April.
Great, thank you. And we've hit the end of our Q&A, so I'm going to wrap it up. Does anyone have any final comments that they'd like to say? Kevin, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, for all of you who are doing the SDC, you're late. So everything that you could do sooner. Everything that you could do, make simpler. the best devices are not the most perfect devices. They are the devices that work well and have been tested so that they're working reliably. The question that was asked repeatedly, can we change things? My answer is yes, but my suggestion is try to have to make as few changes as possible. We're hoping that we get a lot of people to enter such that we are overwhelmed with trying to judge videos, and we wish you all the very best.
Great, thank you. Arnie, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, for the environmental competition, after you read the rules and you have any thoughts about changes for future competitions, please send them to us. Like, this is the first time we have done this, and we're sort of working our way through it. We look forward to everybody entering, and have fun. That's the biggest thing, and stay safe.
Great. Radhika, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, as Annie has already concluded, we look forward to a lot of participation, and you can always write into us at ESD@ASME for any sort of queries.
Thank you. Brandy, will you pull up the slide with the links? And then do you want to add anything at the end, Brandy?
I think we're good here. So these are the 2 email addresses again for everybody for additional questions: ESD@ASME.org for the Environmental Systems Division competition, and SDC@ASME.org for student design competition questions. And as Kevin mentioned several times, there's also a Q&A forum on the SDC page, and get those questions answered in a timely manner via that forum.
Great, thank you. And then if you haven't seen, I put all of our links that we presented in the chat, so you can go through and copy those quick. So you can visit all of our social media pages and EFES website and emails. And thanks a lot for coming to our webinar today.